Okay, hello to everyone. We are ready to start with the Kaplan lesson. Yeah, today we are going to check specifically framing functions, which are part of the deviations that Kaplan basically explains on his on this chapter. So just 1 second, I will start sharing the screen. There we are. So we'll share the screen. Is this one? That's it. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Perfect. Okay. So there we are. So framing functions are obviously, it's really bugging me that I can't see you, sorry, but I can't see you anywhere. Just 1 second. I know what's happening. Well, okay. So yeah, the framing functions are obviously elements or resources that allow us to enrich the beginning and the ends of a theme. Okay, there is a topic that I would like to go through as well, and this topic involves the fact that just 1 second, stop share. Something that is quite important, and it is the fact that Kaplan doesn't call what Schremer call a phrase, the 8 bars. He calls it a theme, right? And then the other elements he calls them a phrase, yeah. And if we give it a thought, yeah, it makes a lot of sense, because actually you've seen already with the practical exercises that you might not have all the theme deployed sometimes, in A prima, for example, in B, yeah, but you will always have a phrase, yeah. In all cases, each one of these sections can be defined as a phrase under the spectacles of Kaplan, no? And it's good to have this in mind, yeah, because the framing functions refer to the themes, not to the phrases necessarily. Yeah, they are mainly focused on solving the issue of enriching a theme. Okay, so now, yes, I will share a screen. Let's see. There you are. There you are. Okay, bring you here. That's it. Perfect. So the idea of a framing function is that, now I can see you. The idea of the framing function is that you don't create an element that can iterate anything related to a motif. Yeah? Why? Because otherwise you would be introducing a new basic idea, for example, or you would be introducing a continuation function. Yeah? So it has to be a low impulse structure. Yeah, something that is not going to push forward, yeah, or is not going to foster further development, yeah, just to present what's going to happen later in the case of a thematic introduction, yeah. The most common scenario for a thematic introduction, which is not an introduction, you understand the difference, right? An introduction is the first page of the pathetic sonata, That's an introduction. Yeah, this is just it could be one chord, it could be 4 measures, yeah, but it won't have the authority to be a phrase, even if it has more than 1 measure, yeah, even if it has 2 or 4 measures. So a good example would be exactly this. Remember? You see?
Yes.
All this first section. Yeah, that we can easily see now in the drawboard. I will share this other screen. That's it. So I have you here. Just 1 second, it's opening. Yeah, that is a perfectly... So how can we define it? What is it? That introduction, if you have to define it, what is it? Anyone? Georgios?
The accompaniment.
Yeah, it's an accompanimental figuration. Yeah, it's like that's a very good. It's a very good example. Yeah. These introductions can overlap, yeah, or not. Yeah, they can overlap or not. In this case, it overlaps, kind of thing. Right? It's not like a clear introduction and then, yeah, it dives into, yeah. In the case of Kaplan, yeah, he gives us another example, which is even more overlapping, yeah, which is this one. Yeah, so yeah, so basically these first bars, these first accompanimental chords will be considered introduction. Now, no one has a confusion with this, with something we said before?
I do. I was imagining something different with the thematic introduction.
Exactly. What did you think?
All rhythm or something that then it was going to be repeated after. So it was like just intro, for example, like or something. I didn't think of something.
Georgios has an example of what you said in one of the pieces that he plays. Where, Georgios? Okay, reconnection successful. Can you tell me now, Georgios, if we are streaming?
I'll go check.
Excellent connection I have here, so we should be streaming. Right or not?
All good.
All good, perfect. I think it's because I'm opening too many windows. So next time I will have less amount of things open. So the thing is I need to have a lot of things open to teach you. That's it. Okay, so I'm opening this one as well. That's it. Right. So okay, we continue. Okay, have you? So today we are going to check a bit of some examples as well. So let's go to the examples. Okay, so everything. see. There it is. Okay, preservation. Okay, so we're going to listen to an example, okay? And this example is this one. The number 5, 7. Okay, so I will share this one. That's it. And I will play. Okay. I wanted to show you something on the other. I made some notes here. So we're going to listen to it, seeing the notes one more time. Yeah, so we have. Can you hear me when I talk and I play music? You can hear me well?
Yes.
Yes.
Perfect. So we have the compound basic idea. As you can see, get distracted by the music. Try to focus on the analysis. Yeah. Harmonically, what happened? How many chords we have? We have only 2 chords. Yeah. Actually, this is an example that is very tricky because it's very slow. Yeah. So if you listen to it, you might fall into the temptation of considering maybe when it does. And then right? We could have considered this. This is a perfect example, I mean the beginning, no? Of a mini sentence. Yeah, because we could have seen here twice the basic idea. Yeah, actually, if you remember the examples in the book, there is an example. The example of a mini sentence in the book is very similar to this one. It's a slow-paced piece, yeah? But what was our resource to avoid the confusion of the mini sentence?
The continuation?
The continuation. The continuation. Because if it
Is
wasn't...
that consequent?
Exactly. We should have seen this one again here, yeah, but we are not seeing it. Yeah. So that's what saves that analysis. Okay. So when you don't encounter this same element in here, clear. It's not a mini sentence. Okay. Still, you could have been tempted to label this as a theme. Look how the confusion could drive you completely nuts. Yeah. And you would be now trying to find another theme, but that wouldn't make sense. Why?
Because there's another theme? What do you mean?
You couldn't have 2 themes one after the other, could you? You shouldn't have 2 themes one after the other in a classic sonata form. Yeah, you should have an interlude, or you should have something in between. Yeah, to be able to have plus when you encounter finally the continuation cadential, well, this doesn't really account for a thing. Yeah. So this is now that when I present it to you that is already analyzed, it's very easy because you see it analyzed. So I'm giving you packaged. But if you've seen this on your own, it can be very confusing. Yeah, it's a very confusing piece of music. This one to analyze. Okay, so we will continue. Could have ended there.
Yeah.
Very well.
Yes.
This cadential is what functions is it using? Is it using any function? Let me just close it. Is there any function that you see in the flow? Is there any fragmentation?
Acceleration of harmonic rhythm, maybe.
Acceleration of harmonic rhythm, correct. But the material itself, the syntaxis, doesn't have any fragmentation or anything like that, does it? No. It's, in this case, what is it? You need to learn to label that too. What is that? That comes from before? Yes or no? Comes from before? Can we say it's an elaboration of what happened before? Under the spectacles of Kaplan. Remember that Kaplan doesn't make a big effort. Yeah?
New idea.
It's a new idea, exactly. It's a new idea. And that's why it's not labeled. Yeah?
New material.
It's new material for him. Yeah, it's new material. Yeah, and the only thing that he's focusing on is the ECP and the implications of the ECP. Yeah. Now, what is triggering the closing section? But they haven't actually talked to you about the closing section. But what is it triggering? What do you think? How is helping a closing section? Well, no?
I'm not sure what
is the question?
Yeah.
Yeah. How is he preparing the grounds for a closing section?
The bass. I mean, the inversions of the chords.
I will help you with that. So, normally, when we were approaching a perfect authentic cadence, right? What happens with the accompanimental elements? What have you seen in the very few examples that we saw? Not always, but most of the time. Didn't it change the flow of music? Didn't it change to stop the flow? Maybe the chords were interrupting, they were becoming longer. Yeah, sometimes yes. Here, the acceleration, as very well Georgios pointed out as one of the main front-coming features of this continuation cadential, is actually going almost to the point in which we reach there is very little signal of liquidation here. Yeah, look, we arrive to bar number 3, right, with the same sort of elements we had before in the first one. So there is no liquidation here. There is no deacceleration of the musical rhythm. Please try to pay a lot of attention to that, because that was one of the issues that I've seen in your compositions. Yeah, when we were approaching the ending of the phrase. Yeah, they were not always, not in all of the compositions that you made, but in some of them, yeah, you didn't succeed in stopping the flow. So then you ended with a feminine ending, for example, in your case, Iris. Yeah, you ended with a feminine ending, which is, if you want to do a feminine ending, it's fine. Yeah, but I think that you had to do a feminine ending there. Yeah, that's a different thing. Yeah, you didn't have any other way to stop it. Otherwise, because you were already uncomfortable with this, with the feeling of elongating already too much for your taste the second phrase. So you just say, okay, well, I finished here, yeah, and you stop the following bar. But that's what happened. Yeah, what happened is that the impulse, the acceleration that naturally comes in these sections, in the second phrases always, need to be addressed. Yeah, you need to liquidate it. Otherwise, you can't stop it. Yeah, it doesn't sound right. It doesn't sound naturally decaying. Yeah. So that happened to Mozart here, not because he didn't know what to do, but he wanted it to happen, so he could allocate this material, the codeta. Yeah. In the codeta, he produced the deacceleration that he did not produce thematically, yeah, before. Yeah. So he basically extrapolated this material, yeah, to the codeta section. The codetas, the closing section in general, is built up of a succession of codetas, a series of codetas. Yeah. So, for example, you pick up a codeta. This is the perfect example of that process. Pick up this codeta that is made of 3 triplets. Yeah. You repeat it. Yeah, and then you shorten it somehow. Yeah. So, in his case, it's like a new motif because it has little to do with the triplets before. Yeah, but it's certainly stopping. Yeah, this. Why? Why is it stopping? Giorgio, Anna, Iris.
It has bigger note values.
Longer note values. Longer note values repeated, so it's more successful in repeating. In actually being the element being smaller. Yeah, it produces condensation of itself. Yeah, sooner than before, and also it's longer. So then it stops. It's like with the car. You get slower, and then in the very end, well, the longest. Yeah, it's a very scholastic. Anna, yes.
Question. Yes, is it also because it's going to a very important part or a characteristic part of the piece? Also.
You mean after that?
Exactly after that.
It could be as well. But in all cases, he needed to stop all these flowing element from before, like in ostinato, no? Because it's very hard to stop something that works like a train, like a steam train, like this, and you do it for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bars, and then you need to somehow stop this natural feeling in the audience, no? Because the audience gets comfortable with these two. And then they need to leave it. Yeah, so we have to offer them something else. He very cleverly extrapolated this to the motif. You see, but it's thinner. So then the melodic contour replaces, using the same rhythm, yeah, the accompaniment function of the same rhythm. Yeah, the fact that you remove density, you remove the function of accompaniment, you translate it into melodic line, you thin it, yeah, you make it slimmer, and you play with it, yeah, allows you as a melodic line to liquidate it. It's very clever, actually. It's intuitive, but it's very clever. And obviously, if you pass on the material to the treble, yeah, it allows you to deplete the bass without missing it, because it's there, right? It's like a communion of both things, yeah? He slowly transformed the language here into something rhythmically similar to the accompaniments, up to the point in which it became eminently rhythmical as the accompaniment. He kick-started a melodic contour here, you see it, and then the material could be migrated to the treble, yeah, without any problem. But the presentation is very refined, yeah, of this new situation. So you have a lot to learn from here. Let's see if you remember. Anna, so what's the strategy? Let's rebuild it up. So how he reaches this point of the closing section, yeah? What is the manipulation about?
So basically, ay, que no me sale aquí la pantalla. It is working with the rhythm, right? It is making the rhythm a little bit bigger and slower. So as we are reaching this important part, and then I am not fully % sure if I understand the following concepts. I know that the rhythm, it really marks the difference, pero luego, if there's like any extra elements that really supports that.
Okay. So I will risk you something from what you said that is very important. The challenge is the rhythm. That's the most important thing you said. The challenge is the rhythm. I'm talking about standing on bar number 6. We have a problem, the rhythm. If we want to stop this, yeah, we have to. The rhythm we have on the left hand, obviously. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So Georgios, what he did to start solving this issue? Bar 6.
He transferred the rhythm of the left hand to the right hand to slowly ease us in the closing section where it completely takes over the right hand, the rhythmic pattern. So then he can eliminate it easier, to thin it and make it even easier to be longer values and then get rid of it.
Exactly. There is another kick point that I will leave to Iris in bar number 8. Where is the key point? The key point, sorry. On bar number 8. Where is the fusion, the most important part of this fusion taking place? Where is it?
On the bar number 8.
Yes, you have it on 8. Where is it? On the treble or on the bass? And what is it?
Okay. I think it's on the treble.
Yes.
I think it's the first 2 notes that quaver quartet can be. I mean, no, right?
Yes.
I was thinking
I can rescue what you said in this way. You need it to stop the movement so you can rhythmify, yeah, the melodic line, yeah, a bit more. But then there is something that is key important, which is this. Yeah?
I see.
This is when both things become one in the treble. Yeah? He melodifies that rhythm. He first rhythmifies it in the right. He already have it rhythmified here. He picks it up there in the right. Again, melody, whoop, and then goes to the right and works on it on the right. Yeah? Where you can do more. Yeah, than on the left. Okay, so this example has much more than what actually Caitlin wanted to point out first. I marked something for you here. The codeta starts where the theme second phrase finishes, but also I don't know if you realize what these dots want to tell you. It relates to the composition exercises we did on Friday. Yeah. Look, what is that? A brief S. Stepwise movement. To the untrained eye, it looks like a succession of skips, but they are not. Yeah, they are just very, very densely populating this stepwise scale going down. Yeah, and this relates to your material. Yeah, so couple of things I wanted to rescue from this motif. For example, one for Georgios, yeah, that did this very flamboyant, very eloquent double arpeggiato, yeah, that opened the register so much, yeah. In see how he does it far more prepared, yeah, with much more notes, yeah, than what you've done. Yeah, he populates the scale more. So there are gaps, but they are less apparent. Yeah, they become more resonant. Yeah, so he doesn't do just 3 notes in a row. Then when he populated, yeah, the scale going up, then he in a slimmer way, he goes down. Yeah, and look at this. When he reaches the very top note of the register, it's just a stepwise movement. Okay? Architects, yeah, try to think like a house. Yeah, if you need to do something acrobatic, like in a house, yeah, if you want to do in this very refined palazzos in Italy where they put the sculptures, no, and the sculptures need to be flying, but actually they are not flying. Yeah, they are always somehow supported very strongly by something. Yeah, and then you can have just the little hand on the air. Yeah, but all the rest is very well hinged. Yeah, to the structure. Here is the same. We have this beautiful top C there, brilliant top C, a huge jump. So the effect is achieved. Yeah, it's a huge effort but actually, yeah, is very densely supported in the time. Yeah, by this immediate structure that it has before. Yeah. Also, the descent from the C is done very densely as well, yeah, as all the descents in general, yeah. So acrobacies, but with a classical perspective, yeah. I will connect with something that Gisela said now in the harmony session when he was talking about these two examples, the Fauré and the one by Brahms, yeah, that Las Hébridas. I don't know how to say it in English, that's why I was trying to avoid the name. Las Hébridas. No, it wasn't by Brahms. Sorry, it was by Mendelssohn. No, by Mendelssohn. Yes, by Mendelssohn. Las Hébridas and Fauré Elegy. Yeah. So I will go for Las Hébridas. No, it's very incidental. Las Hébridas is trying to portray, something that happens in nature. Well, here Mozart is trying to portray something that happens in architecture. Yeah, or it's this kind of solid construction. Yeah, which in the case of the classical period, in the Ottocentesco, yeah, which is the period of this music, it's deeply influenced by this. Even in Germany, remember that Italy influenced all the architecture of Europe. Yeah, so even the Germans were actually building like the Italians. Gerios could say here, well, but the Italians were formerly inspired by the Greeks, which is true. but well, they just own it and spread it. We can give them that, and therefore all Europe was actually building in the same way and actually celebrating the same concepts, yeah, which were in time spilling on music, spilling on architecture, spilling on even on literature. And I'm talking about very semiotic matters. Yeah, I don't know if you know the word semiotic, but it means what gives meaning to the gesture. What is really symbolic, what is really the meaning of how something works. Yeah, so it's in everything of the Ottocentesco, yeah, and Mozart doesn't evade the same influence, yeah. So well, I hope I could use this for a couple of more things than what Kaplan wanted me to use it for. And now I go for the closing section, yeah, the closing section. So let me see if I forgot to mention something about I said already that Motivi Matia was minimal. Yeah, I said everything, yeah. So I will go to the closing section. So in my little whiteboards, I have some notes for you. And I have to open it and close it very quickly because otherwise the computer collapses. So, closing section. You know that you need to reach a closing section now. Yeah, I very comprehensively explained you that. Now, a closing section can happen after a perfect authentic cadence, yeah, or eliding with a perfect authentic cadence. Okay, so we're going to see the example by Mr. Kaplan, yeah, and we'll see what he wants to tell us. Yeah, couple of things, yeah, that I don't want to forget is, in general, they will revolve on the tonic. Yeah, the codetas, they will stay there in the tonic, which is what happens in this example. Yeah, it's tonic prolongational, as you've seen, bracketed, yeah, bracketed dominant chords. So yeah, that's how it is. I will ask you a question, yeah, because there is a very common confusion when you have a succession of chords like this one. Yeah, I think it's obvious, but nevertheless I don't want to miss the chance. If you have first and fifth, how do you know it's not a dominant prolongation? It's quite obvious, but I just want to clear it up. Could you believe it's a dominant prolongation? This one? No. Or yes?
I mean, why would it be dominant? I don't understand.
Because it's rebounding between the fifth and the first, or the fifth and the first. So you could.
Cadence.
Sorry?
But it's a perfect authentic cadence.
It's a perfect authentic cadence.
Is it? You mean that it's avoided?
It's avoidance of the fifth, of the first.
No, but it is tonic. The tonic came. Do you mean that it didn't come? We might perceive that the perfect authentic cadence didn't happen.
Exactly. So I think it's very obvious, and also there's something else, that is we have the tonics always in the strong beat, and we reach the tonic in the end. But
yes.
Yeah. Okay. Just in case. Okay. Yes, and I want to tell something else in here. You can be tonic prolongation, but you could also have cadential progressions. Yeah, in the codetas. Yeah, a cadential progression, an elongated cadential progression, you could have it depending the size of the codeta. Yeah, you could still have it. Yeah, it's allowed to have a cadential progression. Remember that you would have already arrived to a perfect authentic cadence. That's why you can't get confused again with, you know what I mean? The cadential function is already there, and then you have the codeta. Okay, so you can't have a codeta without the cadential function. Yeah, so I don't want to see any one of you just writing codeta in the end, yeah, without the cadential function. Yeah, no, so it happens if you have both things at the same time. So, well, in 5/7, you can see the codeta here. We can listen to it if you want. Good. Fantastic. So then we have the standing on the dominant. Yeah, the standing on the dominant. So the standing on the dominant, I will start clarifying it now. Have my notes here. Actually, I should put my whiteboard on a different computer because standing on the dominant. I already told you this about the liquidation before, yeah, of the codetas. And again, it avoids reopening a melodic space. So when you write a codeta, yeah, you need to make sure, yeah, that it doesn't have its own identity. Yeah, that is basically an elongation of something that happened before. Yeah, or if it's a new material, it's extremely in transcendence. Yeah, by no means you can be trapped, yeah, in the temptation or in the flow and start having a too long codeta. Okay, the purpose of the codeta is clear. Okay, is to stop the flow of melody, so it avoids reopening melodic space. Okay, and as I said before, it can be prolongation or cadential. Okay, so then the standing on the dominant. Yeah, the standing on the dominant. You just bring this one for me here, so I show you an example. You see that we consider the standing on the dominant as a post-cadential standing on the dominant, and we are framing it within the realm of the closing sections. Okay, so within the framing functions. So it has to be dominant prolongational. Yeah, it has to be dominant prolongational. And the half cadence, as it says here, is rarely followed by a standing on the dominant. Yeah, particularly in the period. Yeah, why particularly in the period?
Because it ends with a half cadence.
Exactly, because we already have half cadence, there is no point in elongating it. Plus, we said the framing functions are normally applied to the both extremes of the theme, right? So it shouldn't be after the antecedent, yeah, because of this in the middle. Since simple themes seldom use this framing function, the standard dominant is not discussed any further here, but will be brought up again and illustrated in later chapters where appropriate. Yeah, so we will leave it as it is. Yeah. Now we have these exercises that we could do, and then here is the interpolation and the extension. So let me think a second. What can we do? Because I have the answers there, so I will have to tell you. Yeah, we do a bit of review, yeah, of what we have done so far. Yeah, instead of going with the rest of the material. How are you finding the material?
For me, it's getting. I have to stop now, and I have to study or practice a little bit, because if not, if I continue a little bit more, it's going to be everything a kind of big mess.
Same with me. Same with me. There's so many information that I have to go back and restudy everything from the beginning, because I am afraid I am getting some things mixed, and I don't want that. So I'm recapitulating everything.
Okay, good. So let me just stop the sharing, and I will do something that I think is the best we can do. We are going to talk about how we are going to organize the exam. Okay, and I will tell you when I will take this exam. I will take you the exam when we finish this chapter. Yeah, this is the longest chapter of the series. Yeah, so I will take you the exam there. The strategy will be next week we will do a review. Yeah, doing these exercises. Yeah, so do them yourself. You can go back, you can go forth, read from the book. Yeah, try to tie up everything in your mind. Yeah, and then we will continue. We will see the rest of the chapter. I think we have 2 more lessons to finish this chapter. Yeah, it's very complicated. And then we will write a bit of music. Yeah, we will use a couple of we will do a double composition week lesson. Yeah, so we have to practice practical sessions. Yeah, so you put this into practice a bit. Yeah, and then I will take the exam. So in a month from now, approximately. Yeah, the exam will be comprehensive. Yeah, and we will do it on Zoom. Yeah, so you don't cheat. So I hope you can cheat. I hope you will not cheat on me. But anyway, so I will try to we will create the same situation for all of you. Yeah, and we will go in silence. It's more just to keep it ritualistically correct, the exam situation. Yeah, if you want to cheat, you can cheat anyway, because you could be seeing something I'm not seeing. But don't cheat, yeah, and then I will correct the exam and I will get back to you individually, yeah. So I help you with this material, yeah, and then we continue. The first section of the book, yeah, will finish. We'll finish actually. After we finish the small binary, yeah, which is just before the sonata form, yeah, which is the most important chapter actually, sonata form, yeah, where we are going to start writing a lot of sonatas, yeah, and it will take a year probably, the sonata form, and it will be the most exciting part probably of all these studies, yeah, because everything starts to make sense, and yeah, it's much more rewarding than that. So well, we have, I think, until the end of the year to deal with this section, yeah. And we will have 2 exams. Now one, and then the next one when we finish with this. So, any questions?
Not for now.
Not for now. Okay, good. So well, do your homework. Yeah, we see it again on next Sunday. Yeah, and try to do what I did for you very briefly. That is to tie up things from the other subjects, yeah, like with harmony, yeah. Remember that Schoenberg, this is something I forgot to tell you. Schoenberg is the one who did who created the system of analysis that Kaplan refines in this book. So they are extremely compatible, both authors. Schoenberg is much older than Kaplan. Yeah, Schoenberg could have been probably, I want to say, I think he could have been probably his grandfather. Yeah. So, but everything that you will see in harmony in Schoenberg will be reflected in this book. And when we started talking about regions in the theory of harmony, when we start talking about regions, you will see that it will be the same language that Kaplan is using. Yeah, because he based everything, the harmonic side of things, and also the morphological. So both of things are rescued. It's a refinement of Schoenberg just applied to classical music. Yeah. Okay, we finished earlier a bit today. Study a lot. Yeah, and I'll see you tomorrow for Scaramouche.
Okay, thank you, Juan.
Bye bye.
Bye, guys.